Hey guys, and welcome back to Creepy Critiques. I wasn't going to be doing a video about this originally. I had said I was going to wait until all of the announcements for Halloween Horror Nights came out, but we got so much last week and then we just got something yesterday. So I'm kind of like, okay, I think I want to talk a little bit about what we've got going on. There's so much to look forward to, and we've got all of the original houses, I'm assuming. I'm guessing because they announced them all in one week. And we have 6 original houses this year, which is super exciting. That used to be the primary focus of the event. I'll talk about all that in a minute. But yeah, I decided I would go over the announcements that we got and then also talk about my thoughts, talk about which ones I'm excited about, and then also talk about this new thing that Halloween Horror Nights announced that they're doing for the first time ever yesterday, and explain some of my thoughts about it. And also, I want to hear your thoughts, so feel free to comment down below. And also, I am going to sort of just go over like how impactful it is that they did all the original house announcements and some of the theories I've heard regarding that matter. So definitely hit that like and subscribe button if this is something you want to hear. We're in Halloween Horror Nights season. We're in full swing now. So I will probably be making more Halloween Horror Nights videos. I have another one planned for June. That's going to be not an announcement video, but a reaction video. And I hope it's something that you guys find entertaining. I have always wanted to do this particular video, and I'm excited to do the video. But we're going to be talking about Halloween Horror Nights quite a bit. I will be sprinkling movie reviews and like my Does It Deserve to Be a Classic series here and there. But we're going to focus solely for the next couple of months on Halloween Horror Nights up until I go for the first time on August 30th because I already got my ticket. So here we go. So just to recap, on May 17th, Halloween Horror Nights announced at Spooky Empire. If you saw my previous video on this, I'll link it below. They announced at Spooky Empire Con that they were going to be doing Slaughter Cinema 2, which is a sequel to a house they did in 2018, where it's like B-rated movies and you're going through each B-rated movie. They're not real movies. I feel like I need to like put emphasis on that because I have seen some people ask if are they going to do this movie? And that no, it's not real movies. It's stuff that they've made up. But it's fun. It's cute. I don't know. I never went through Slaughter Cinema, the first one, but I'm excited to go through this one. The second one that we got on May 20th, so 3 days later, is called Goblin's Feast. And this one says, "Welcome to the Goblin's Feast Tavern and visit the Goblin Village, where a lavish feast is being prepared for goblins, orcs, hobgoblins, and witches, and you're the main course." So that sounds like it's going to be sort of like a fall-ish house, maybe like have some Halloween themes in it, which I do love when they incorporate that into their houses. Blood Moon was kind of like that last year, and then of course Wicked Growth, my favorite house that they've ever done. That was another one that was very like fall feeling when you were in there. So there was Goblin's Feast. Right after that, we have a return of another original character, but not a house. It was a scare zone in 2022, and that's Major Sweet's Candy Factory. So this was actually one of the most amazing scare zones I think they've done because they did parade floats for the scare zones. They use the same company that does their floats for Mardi Gras, and they made parade floats that just sat in the middle of the New York section of the park. And they were really cool. It was really cool. The aesthetic was really awesome. It was very old school, like 1950s Halloween. All the costumes were like handmade looking, like they were probably handmade, but they were like very handmade looking. The music was very like kitschy and like 1950s, and it was super cool. I loved that scare zone. It's probably one of the coolest scare zones I think they've ever done. But this house, Major Sweet's Candy Factory, is an extension of that scare zone, and it says, "You've been invited to chaperone a field trip to a candy factory, but this sweet tour is about to turn sour when free samples transform the kids into candy-coated killers wielding sharpened candies." So, Major Sweets is making a return. We will see him with his killer candy in August. In August. The next house they announced was the Museum Deadly Exhibit. And this one says, "You're going to check out the Rotting Stone, the local folklore museum's infamous new exhibit. An evil spirit escapes from within, possessing the other displays and decaying everything in its path." Now, the interesting thing I have heard is, remember that video I showed you guys in my last HHN video that I did? The teaser that I showed you a little clip of with the gross thing underground and then the door blew open. A lot of people think that that is the rotting stone. And I wouldn't be surprised if that is the rotting stone. Um, I haven't rewatched the teaser myself to really like look at it, but I've seen a few people like theorize like, oh, so is this an extension of the teaser? Which is pretty cool if that's what they're going for, that the thing that we saw in the teaser is connected to this house. That's kind of cool. But yeah, that would be the Museum Deadly exhibit. It kind of reminds me, I've never been in this house, but it kind of reminds me of the house in Hollywood, the Pandora's Box house, which is one house I've always wanted us to have over here, but we've never gotten. I know there was one year we were supposed to get it, and then they did something different. I wish we would get the Pandora's Box house because that one looks so cool. I'm going to apologize in advance for this one. I am Hispanic, but my Spanish is not very good. And I can't pronounce most of the stuff for this one, so I'm going to try my best. Sorry if I kind of butcher it a little bit, but I am going to try my best. So the next one is called Monstruos, or as some people keep saying monstrous, but it's Monstruos, the Monsters of Latin America. And it says, Ten cuidado, with La Muerte as your guide, you will be asking for piedad from these three terrifying monsters. The blood-sucking, I'm not going to say that word, but I'll put it on the screen because I cannot pronounce it. Owl-faced witch La Lechuza and bone-ripping El Silbón. That is... I'm sorry, I probably sounded so white saying that. I'm going to watch this video back and be like, oh lord, I've been trying to learn Spanish for like 4 years now, and I'm still not good at speaking it. I can read it, but I can't speak it for some reason. So yeah, they did do a house similar to this. I don't know if it's going to be the exact same house last year in Hollywood. It looked really awesome, and I love like the cultural houses that they do. I was kind of sad I didn't get to go through their Chupacabra one that they did in 2022. I was unable to make it in that one, but I really love like Latin American monsters stuff. Like, I think that's super cool when they do those. So I'm excited for this one. We'll come back to it. And then the final house announcement we got was Triplets of Terror. And it says, you're invited to the Barmy Triplets birthday bash, but beware, they celebrate by recreating their family's murders. Prepare for a gory gathering. So that is the 6 original houses that we are going to get this year. Before I move on to my next segment where I'm going to talk about like what I'm excited for from the 6 houses that we've already gotten announced, I wanted to talk about this experience that is happening this year. I love that Halloween Horror Nights every year gives its guests chances to do something new. I still remember very fondly, and this is maybe dating myself in a way, I still remember when they first started doing the early entry for guests to the event, and it was pass holders only. I have a very distinct memory of riding the train from Hogsmeade to Diagon Alley right before they opened up the line, and being on the train with like my brother and a friend, and like getting there, getting in line, and you know, everybody in there was like pass holders and we're all chilling, and it wasn't like it is now. Like, I think there was only like one house open, and it was like an original house, and you were just in a line, and that was it. Like, there was no snacks, no food, no nothing. Like, it was just, and then I remember like I seeing it evolve. Like, at one point I remember we used to go to Finnegan's and have dinner, and we'd sit and have dinner, and then they'd open up the park, and you would go to the house that you wanted to go to first, whatever house was open. Now it's a lot more controlled, and I think a lot more organized. So I'm like I do love the early entry that they offer. I'm not sure if I'm going to do it this year, just because I'm going to do Frequent Fear when that does come out. But if I do, you know, like I might just pop in and do. I am a pass holder, so I could, you know, there's nothing stopping me. But they do add all these cool experiences. Last year I didn't get to do it, and I'm kind of sad I didn't get to do this, but they did add an experience where a few weeks before the event opened, you could test out the food options and like go pay a flat fee. They had like this area open, and they had all the different foods that were going to be there. If they have that this year, I'm so going to do it because I think it's super cool. If they don't, that's fine. I completely understand. I'm sure that it costs a lot to run that type of event, especially making the food like all day. But I think that's still cool that it gives people, maybe even people who aren't going to go to the event, it gives them a chance to try the food, because the food has gotten so much better from the years. I mean, I remember when I used to go back in the 2010s, and there really wasn't many options for food outside of the Monsters Cafe and like the little restaurants that are around. Now you've got booths galore that you can choose from that have tons and tons of great food. So, but in the spirit of having new experiences, they announced this year that there's going to be something called a premium Scream Night on Thursday, August 29th. Now, the event officially opens on August 30th. That's the night that I'm going to be going. I'm going to be going opening night. But on August 29th, you're going to be able to go to something called a premium Scream Night. Now, this is a limited capacity event with shorter wait times for the haunted houses. The haunted house entry is staggered by your group, and a selection of all you care to enjoy food. So, and I think non-alcoholic beverages are all included. And they haven't officially released the pricing, but I heard from a lot of people that they accidentally put the pricing in the email that they sent to people yesterday, and it retails at about $350 for non-pass holders and $325 for pass holders. Now, this is a limited capacity event, so I'm sure that they have a certain amount of tickets that they are selling. And then once they've sold out of those, they've sold out of those. I can imagine this event is going to be hard to get into. People are going to flock to do this because even people who are planning on going later in the season, even if they've already bought their ticket, they're going to get like a multi-day pass. They're probably still going to try to do this. I'm sure there's going to be a lot of YouTubers there. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them try to come out just to get that little sneak preview before the actual media night happens. Or they might do the media night on that night. I don't know. I don't work for Universal, so but I think that this is a very interesting experience. Personally, I won't be partaking in this experience. As cool as it sounds, I won't be partaking in it. The reason why is because it's pretty much the same price, like in the same price range as buying a frequent fear pass, and I'd rather spend the $300 something if those prices are completely correct, because they haven't actually officially released the pricing yet. If those prices are completely correct, the prices that everybody's been posting on like Facebook and Instagram, if those prices are completely correct, to me, it's more worth it to get a frequent fear pass and be able to go throughout the season for my own pace, at my own pace, than it would to purchase this particular thing. However, I know that there's going to be people who this is perfect for. There's going to be people who maybe are on vacation that may not be coming back in September or October, that don't want to go opening night because that's going to be chaos, and this might be a perfect like event for them because they can go, they can, take their time, they can enjoy the event, and they can spend that little extra money. I know that there's going to be people who are diehards that can afford it, that, like I said, will probably buy a frequent fear pass so they can still go, and then they'll also spend $300 to go this. And hey, I'm not knocking it. It's your money. I think that's great if you're able to do that. If I had that kind of money, I would. But to me, even still, to me, there's like a little bit of like, it's the same way I feel about the RIP tours. They look like so much fun, but I'd rather spend the money and go at my own pace and spend the season like getting, because I love the atmosphere of Halloween Horror Nights. I'm not there, like I am there for the houses, I am there for the scare zones, I am there for that, but I love the atmosphere. I love just being there. Last year when I did the Rush of Fear pass, I spent a lot of time, like I only had it for like a week because I got it the last week of September. I went every single night the week that I had it, and there were some nights that were just like so calming, so relaxing. Like, it's weird to say that about Halloween Horror Nights because when you think of Halloween Horror Nights and calm, it just doesn't go hand in hand. But they were so calming, they were so relaxing, and they were so like fun. And it wasn't about like, we weren't rushed. That was the thing, is we weren't rushed. We weren't trying to do everything all night. And we tried different foods every single night. We went through some of our favorite houses that went back through some of our favorite houses. We rode rides. We would just chill in scare zones and like walk around and take in the environment, So again, to me, it's more like I like the atmosphere of being there. And if I'm going to be at this spend like $350 I'd rather spend it on something where I'm going to get an experience multiple times than one night. Now, if I had the extra money to spend, though, I would do this. The reason why I'm going to say I would do this: staggered entry in the haunted houses. This is the only thing about Halloween Horror Nights that I say sets it apart from other events that I've been to that are Halloween related, because I feel like the fact that they kind of conga line you in there, which I understand why they do. Like, I'm not knocking that. I completely understand why they conga line you in there. It can be detrimental because at some points in times you might hit a room where the scare's already happened, and then you're walking through, and then as you're leaving, the scare happens again. And in my experience, when I've gone to other events and they've staggered the entry, you pretty much get just hit with the scares constantly, especially if you're, let's say they let a group of 25 people in the house at once and you're with a group of 3 people. You're gonna somehow lose those, like, 22 people ahead of you. You're going to somehow lose them at some point. You're going to somehow break apart. You're not going to all be clustered together in the group of 20 unless you came as a group of 20. You're going to lose that, and that's going to make it so much easier for the actors to get you, to get you. And I've had my own experiences with that, where the staggered entry works so much better than conga lining. But I understand why they conga line, because it's better for timing, and it makes it so you don't have to wait all night. Nonetheless, I think this is cool that they're doing this. I'm definitely not knocking anybody who wants to do this. I think if you can do it, you're able to do it, and it's something that you desire doing, go for it. Like, I support that wholeheartedly, and let me know how it is. Let me know if it was worth the money. Let me know if it was worth, because if it's something that they decide to continue doing going forward, having a preview night that's like a lower capacity, I definitely would look into that for future trips, going forward. Because I'm personally, I am very interested in seeing how this event goes. There are a lot of people who are complaining that the event is not limited capacity as it is, and I've said it before, and I think I'll say it again. I don't think it makes sense to limit the capacity for Halloween Horror Nights, because, again, not everybody that goes to the event stays for the entire event. Not everybody that buys a ticket, even a one-day ticket, and I say this as somebody who used to buy just one-day tickets, not everybody who buys a one-day ticket stays from 6:30 p.m. to 2 a.m. Some people will leave at 10, some people won't get there till 10, and then they'll stay till 2. So in a way, that would cost Universal money, because if you limit the capacity of the event, you're going to have some people that will get there at 6:30 and stay till maybe 9-10 o'clock and then leave. They're no longer spending money in the park. Then you have people that won't get there till 10 p.m. and will stay till 2 a.m. There's a whole first half of the night that there's people not spending money in the park. I would love for them to limit the capacity to an extent, because of the walking, the scare zones, really, because I feel like in the more recent years, because so many people are going to this event, the scare zones have lost their scare because the actors can't maneuver through most of the crowds, and it becomes a little bit difficult for them to really get somebody good if you've got 50 people herding through one, like in like one cluster. It's hard to get somebody good. So obviously, I don't know what the solution is for crowd control. Universal's probably never going to limit capacity to this event, because this is like their biggest event of the year, and they want to make sure that people get the most out of the event. So my only solution is, if you don't like the fact that it gets packed, maybe this event is for you and you might want to go to this instead. This particular, like premium single, like premium Scream night thing is more for you. And I'd say go for it. If you got the money, go for it. If you want to still take part in the event, but you don't want to deal with the crowds, go for it. That's simply how what I would say. Like I said, personally, this year, I just know it's not in the cards for me. There are other things I would like to do that hopefully they're gonna bring out. Like I said, Frequent Fear Pass, I know they usually don't release those till like July. We might get surprised and they might release them next month, but they usually don't release them till July. So I know I have that. And then if they do decide to do that food event that they did, that food tasting event that they did for Halloween Horror Nights, I would like to do that. And I know that was affordable last year. So those things are kind of taking precedence over doing this premium Scream night. But I would love to hear, if you're somebody who gets to do this, I would love to hear how it worked for you. And if you liked it, if you thought it was a good idea, and if you think they should continue doing this for the event, and charging the price. Like, again, they haven't actually officially released the pricing, but like I said, many people said they received an email with the pricing in it, and it said it was $350 for non-pass holders and $325 for pass holders. So I guess we'll see how that goes. But I just wanted to like put that out there because I do think that that's one of like the cool things that they're doing for this year. So back to the original houses before I wrap up this video real quick. I was kind of put into a like list of which ones I'm like the most excited for and which ones I'm the least excited for and kind of explain why. Obviously, once I go through them, first of all, obviously this is no hate to the Universal Creative team. Me being less excited for a house doesn't mean I'm not going to enjoy the house, because last year I was not excited for The Darkest Deal and that ended up being my favorite house. So me not being excited for a house now does not mean that it's going to be a bad house. It's just from the description and from, you know, the thought that I have in my head about the house, this is how I feel about these houses. And second of all, my opinions will probably change after I actually go to the event and go through the houses. So obviously this is what I'm excited for now, and you know, in a few months it's probably going to change. And it'll also probably change with word of mouth, because when I go opening night, I don't know how much I'm going to be able to do. I'm really just going for the atmosphere and the experience of being there on opening night, because I've never done that before. So I really don't know what I'm gonna do, if I'm gonna do any houses at all, or if I'm gonna just enjoy the event, walk around, eat some food, and just get my bearings. I have lots of nights I can go to this event this year, so that's what I'm aiming for. So the the one I'm the most excited for out of all of them, of all 6 of the houses that they've announced, is actually the Latin American one, the Monsters of Latin America. As I stated before, I think that the whole doing houses from folklore of different cultures is really cool. I heard the Chupacabra house was good when they did that a few years ago, and I didn't get the chance to go into it because I only had one night to go. And it was a mess that night. Like, not a mess, but it was like, it was very busy and we just didn't have the time to get into it. So we had to prioritize what we wanted to go into. But I am excited. That's probably like the top of the list for me. Right after that for me would be Goblin's Feast. Goblin's Feast is right underneath that one because I do like the fall aesthetic and the fall theming of the houses. So I'm really excited to see what they do with Goblin's Feast, how they portray that. And I'm sure it's not going to be what I'm envisioning in my head, because right now I'm envisioning something very like witchy and fall, and like, you know, some, there's gonna be gore, but like it's like very fall and very, I'm sure it's gonna just be like gnarly and gross and nasty and bones and guts and gore everywhere. But I definitely am like, you know, I'm on the fence. The third house I'm the most excited for is the Museum Deadly Exhibit. I love like historical, like how like creepy things and stuff. I don't know what they're going to be doing with this. They have the rotting stone, and I'm interested in seeing if the rotting stone is the thing that we saw underneath in the Utila tunnels. I'm interested in seeing if that's, you know, what's there. If that's what they were showing, I have no idea. I guess we'll see, but I'm excited regardless. The exhibits are going to be coming to life. They're going to be chasing us. Probably going to have a lot of people standing as statues and jumping at you, and that's going to be fun because I love trying to figure out who's actually real and who's not. And usually, they scare me before I do, so that's going to be fun. I would say I would say the one that's like in the middle, kind of like I'm excited but I'm not super excited, is actually Slaughter Cinema 2. I didn't get to experience Slaughter Cinema 1, so I don't really know what to expect. I definitely want to go. Obviously, I'm going to go through all of the houses this year, but I definitely want to go through this house. But I'm like, I don't know. We'll see like how cool it is when I'm done with, like, when I get out of it. I might end up loving this house. But yeah, like right now I'm not like super hyped for it. Even when they announced it, like I was like, that's super cool that they announced an original house, but I wasn't like, oh my god, they announced Slaughter Cinema. Like other people were like, oh my god, we're bringing back Slaughter Cinema, because I don't have any connection to that. I didn't get to go through the house in 2018, so I don't know anything about it aside from the descriptions I've read and the recounts I've had from other people. For my bottom two, the two that I'm the least excited about, Triplets of Terror is the first one that I'm not really all that thrilled about. I'm looking at my phone because like I have the pictures on my phone. Triplets of Terror is like the first one I'm not really all that excited about. I think it's because the description seems to lack a lot, and the image puts me off, and not like in a like ew, it's creepy. Like I don't know what about the image, but it just looks very like it's not scary, it's kind of comical. So I don't know if that's going to be like a comedy house. I don't know if that's what they're trying to get at it. You know, people have said it sounds very Texas Chainsaw. It sounds very like Hills Have Eyes. I guess we'll see. This could end up being my favorite house of the year, but right now I'm kind of like, I don't know. The description lacks a lot for me personally, and then the image of the thing is just kind of funny more so than like, oh, you know, I kind of wish they would have picked a different image for the kids, the adults. They're adults. But we'll see. This could end up being one of my favorite houses this year. And I'm probably having an unpopular opinion with this one, but my least, like the house I'm least excited for this year from the originals is Major Suites, and I have a reason for that. A big reason for the reason why I'm not thrilled about Major Suites making a comeback. I loved the Scare Zone. I absolutely adored the Scare Zone. I thought it was so much fun. But one of the things that made me anxious was that there was a certain I don't know if you want to call it a puppet or a mannequin that they had, that one of the actors was carting around in a wagon, and I'm sure if you went through the Scare Zone you saw it. And the puppet was a reused puppet from the Trick or Treat Scare Zone and house. If you've ever seen the Trick or Treat movie, you know that the character that that puppet was based off of has a really gnarly kill scene in that movie. And I'm an emetophobe. If you don't know what emetophobia is a phobia of vomit. My biggest fear right now with that house is that that puppet is going to show back up. And I am not touching that house until someone goes through it and tells me that it's not there. I'm afraid, because they had the puppet in the trick or treat house doing its thing. And I didn't go through the trick or treat house because I went through the Scare Zone the previous year and I saw it and I had a panic attack, which sounds really sad. I hate the fact that I have this phobia because it can be debilitating at times. But it's something that as soon as they announced this house, I was like, oh no. I was like, I mean, I loved the Major Sweet Scare Zone, but oh no. No, 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 no. You're talking about candy, food, kids getting crazy. That means there's going to be a kid in there overeating candy and probably vomiting. No, no. Like, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. No thanks. I'm good. Like, that's not fear. That's like debilitating to me. That's like my night will be over. I do want to go through the house, obviously, so I can give an accurate representation of the house, and like, you know, from my own firsthand accounts and my own firsthand experience, not just from watching it. But it's one of those ones that I am going to avoid until I either watch a walkthrough of the house or I talk to somebody that's gone through the house and they say, oh yeah, no, 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 I mean, there's a scene, but it's not that bad. Because like The Exorcist Believer had a scene last year where the girl was behind, like there was like a wall, but like the wall was really like a screen, and then like behind the screen the girl was like saying something, and then she like leans off to the side and like vomits. I didn't get that scare, thankfully. I walked right past it before it happened, and like I heard it happening behind me and I was just like, oh, thank God. And B, you don't see anything. And it's more seeing it happen than hearing it happen that bothers me. Like I can hear it and I'll be like, ooh, but I can't see it. Like that's the thing. So the idea of having this Major Sweets house and the kids are eating all this candy and going crazy and losing their minds, I'm just like, I hope they lean more towards not including a graphic vomit scene in the middle of the house that's going to trigger the hell out of me. But I I'm doubtful. And I'll still go through it, but I will have to mentally prepare myself to go through it before I go through it. And then my representation might not be accurate because I don't know how I'm going to react when I go through the house, you know? But it is like something that I do want to experience because I did love that Scare Zone so much. I love the aesthetic, I love the storyline behind it, and overall, I mean, they didn't have anybody vomiting in the Scare Zone. They just had somebody carting that puppet around in the Scare Zone. But I just am afraid that that's going to be like a focus, at least in one area of the room. Like of the house, it's going to be that subject matter is going to be a focus. And I'm just like, I'm going to need somebody to go through that before I do and give me the okay, or be like, be careful, be careful before you go through this one. Cause I'm definitely anxious about this house, but I'm sure all 6 of them will be fine. I'm sure they'll all be fun. I'm sure everybody will have ones that they love and they don't. Um, and that's just my personal opinions. Like I said, I'm mostly excited this year for the Monsters of Latin America. That's the one that I'm like, I'm ready to go through it. Just open the door and let me in. Um, so one more thing that I want to talk about before I wrap this video up, because it's been 30 minutes now. I'm looking at my camera. It's been 30 minutes I've been recording. So the last thing I wanted to wrap up is that I've heard a lot of people saying that the reason why they're focusing so heavily on the original houses this year is because of the fact that they are getting ready to open up a Halloween Horror Nights perma haunt in Las Vegas. And it is going to be an original storyline and original stuff. So they're trying to get people's hype going for that so that they might be more willing to go over to Las Vegas for that. So if they're showing off their creativity for with their original houses, it might get people to be willing to go to this haunt in Las Vegas. And if that is the case, I think that's really cool. A lot of people have complained that there are only going to be 4 IPs this year. And I do believe they have not announced it yet, but I do believe one of the IPs we are for sure getting is Insidious. Which I don't know how I feel about that because I haven't seen the new movie, but I did not hear good things about it. So I guess I have to watch the new movie and decide whether or not this is going to be a good house or not. Um, I just wanted to kind of, I guess, put out there that for the longest time, Universal really didn't focus on the IPs. Like the IPs were always done well, but it wasn't really the focus. There's been a lot of years where they only did like 3 or 4 IP houses. Really having an even split of IPs versus originals started like only a few years ago. Um, and I know a lot of people are just getting familiar with the event, so they're kind of like, oh, well, that kind of sucks because I was expecting to have, an even split of both originals and IPs. But now we're only getting like 4 IPs this year, which honestly, I'm gonna be completely honest with you, I've never even considered like that they have had an even split because for the last few years they've been doing Universal Monsters, and in my opinion, that's like an original house because it's Universal. Like it's Universal and it's all not based off of the movies. They're all their own original ideas. So that's why I'm kind of like, it's not really like we've had an even split. We haven't really had an even split because it's not like they're making a haunted house based off of the Dracula movie or a haunted house based off of the Mummy movie. Like they're making their own story. So kind of the Universal Monsters houses have been original houses this entire time, but people just look at them as IP houses because they're based off of big IPs. um Overall, I just personally don't think that it's a bad thing that they're announcing and focusing on the IP on the original houses, sorry, not the IPs. um Whether it's because they have this location opening in Vegas or it's because they just want to do something different, change it up, switch it up, I genuinely don't know. Obviously I don't work for Universal. I'm just a guest. I'm someone who's been going to the event for, 11 this will be my 11th year. So I'm just a guest, but I think it's good that they're changing it up. I think it's good that they're focusing on the on the original houses this year because I think that it is giving people the chance to see just how creative they can be. Again, I know there's a lot of people that are mad that they have not announced an IP yet. I was a little shocked that we got 6 announcements in one week and not one of them was an IP announcement. I was almost banking that the last announcement was going to be like a big IP and then it was Triplets of Terror. I was almost banking like, oh, the last announcement is going to be like this massive IP. Like they're going to drop like, I don't know, I guess Insidious on our heads, this massive. No, it was just Triplets of Terror. So I'm sure either in June or July, we're going to get those IP announcements. I wouldn't be surprised if maybe the first week of June we get an IP announcement. Maybe not. I'm not, obviously, like I said, I don't work for Universal. I'm just a person who likes to go there. So for all I know, we might not get an announcement until July, but I wouldn't be surprised if we started getting announcements as early as next week. So that's just basically what's been going on in the world of Halloween Horror Nights right now. As far as my channel goes, I am going to try to get a video up next week um, regarding a analog horror series that I have been seeing a lot of people talk about, and I kind of wanted to weigh in and give my 2 cents on it because I did watch the series. And but I do want to talk about some analog horror. I want to move on to a little bit of internet stuff for a little while, and then my video after that will be my exciting Halloween Horror Nights fun time video that I'm going to do. That's going to be more of a reaction video and not a like breakdown of what's going to happen this year. And then we have Tiana's Bayou Adventure that's opening at the end of next month. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a video out regarding that after it opens exactly. It might be a few weeks after. I'm actually trying to go the weekend it opens and hope I can get on the ride. If I can, then I will like make a video after that and then post it. It probably won't be open till like up until like the week following, because the week after that is 4th of July and I will be out of town. But I will try to get a video up regarding Tiana's Bayou Adventure. And then, of course, once all of those IPs, scare zones, and the food options and tickets and everything's been announced, I'm going to do a big Halloween Horror Nights deep dive video. And I might even start on some Halloween Horror Nights history if I'm feeling up to it. But I have some plans, and I'm super excited to keep bringing you guys this content. I do want to still do the movie content. Like I said, I will be going back to my Does This Deserve to Be a Classic series. My next movie that I'm going to do for that is going to be a summertime kind of movie, and we're going to talk about that one. And then I do also want to bring back my series of watching all of the movies in one series, so you don't have to. But I've got so much stuff to work on, and Halloween Horror Night season is in full swing. So I apologize if like the next few videos are just strictly HHN related. But in any case, thank you guys so much for watching. Feel free to like, subscribe, leave a comment. Please leave a comment and let me know what you're going to be doing for Halloween Horror Night season this year. And I'll see you guys in my next video. Thank you for joining me in another creepy critique.